2021 is the 700th anniversary of the death of Dante Alighieri. Today, I'll be talking to Rino from the Dante Alighieri Society in the first of a series of programs focused on the life and legacy of Dante Alighieri. So, welcome Rino, and please tell us who is or who was Dante.
Oh, thank you very much for the invite, Tim. First of all, I'd just like to introduce myself a little bit. I was for a long time the secretary of the Dante Alighieri Society here in WA. So I can, in a sense, elaborate a little bit more about the society a bit later on. But Dante Alighieri he was an Italian poet, a writer, and a philosopher. He was born in 1265 and died in 1321. He's pretty young. He was 56 years old when he died. Dante died in Ravenna on the 14th of September 1321. He died, a poor boy, of malaria, which he contracted while returning from a diplomatic mission to the Republic of Venice. And he was buried in Ravenna, in the Basilica of San Francesco. This year, that marks the 7th century of his death, the actual basilica where he's buried, will be open to the public in order for them to go and visit the Dante burials. Well, Dante really is best known for his literary work called, in Italian, La Divina Commedia, the Divine Comedy, in which it depicts, Inferno. I think most of us have heard Dante's Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. That's the hell, purgatory, and paradise. He wrote the Divina Commedia establishing the use of the vernacular, which means was more the Florentine dialect at that stage. Most of the literary works at that stage, they were written in Latin, and it was only a selected few, the Illuminati, in a sense, would be able to understand what the literature was about. But he wanted to write something so that everyone was accessible to everyone in Italy. The Divine Comedy helped establish the modern-day standardized Italian language and set a precedent that most important Italian writers would follow, like Boccaccio, Petrarca. Dante really described as the father of the Italian language, and in Italy is often referred to as il sommo poeta, the supreme poet. And as you said, Tim, this year marks the 7th century of his death, and there are celebrations all over the world to remember the contribution he has made to the Italian language and culture.
That's great. So obviously a very important person in the life of Italy, and going back also originally to Firenze, because in those days Italy wasn't one country, of course.
That's right.
As you sort of alluded to, it was many different sovereign states. So let's go forward, 600 or 700 years and talk about the Dante Alighieri Society. And what's its aim? What are its objectives?
Well, the Dante Alighieri Society, it's got headquarters in Rome, was founded in 1889 by a group of intellectuals led by Giosuè Carducci. Giosuè Carducci is an Italian poet, and he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. This group of people, they established a not-for-profit organization in 1893. Ideally was to reunite immigrants to their motherland, therefore intensifying and keeping alive their cultural and linguistic link with Italy, even if they were overseas and distant. In short, in the last 120, 130 years, the Dante Alighieri Society has taught Italian to millions and millions of people eager to learn a language. And all of this is undoubtedly due to Dante, the true father of the Italian language, the one who still today, after centuries, is the Italian writer who best represents Italians in the international literary panorama. You wouldn't believe this, but there are 95 committees distributed in almost all the provinces in Italy, and I think it's about more than 400 abroad, spread over 60 countries, you know.
Wow, so his influence has spread far and wide across the world in the last 700 years, so that's terrific. Tell me a bit about the Dante Alighieri Society in WA.
In WA here, yes. I mean, this branch of the Dante Alighieri Society in WA might have existed even before World War II, according to a newspaper article which I found in the office, which announced the opening of a Perth branch in the early days of 1954. Dr. Lanterni, Italian consul at that stage, was quoted as saying that the new group already had 100 members. Its aim was stated as to promote the understanding and good relations in the cultural, artistic and social spheres, and it would foster social and cultural activities such as exhibitions, concerts, special films, recitals, excursions. Even in the early days, there was a suggestion that the course in Italian and literature were planned by Mr. Francesco Vanzetti. He was a lecturer in Italian at the University of WA. And later he was elected as the president of the Dante Alighieri Society of the WA. And Dr. Joseph Gentili he was also from UWA, and he was elected as the secretary. These two pioneers that we must give thanks to the successful launch and early progress of our Dante Alighieri Society in WA. But of course, there are many others to whom we owe a great deal of growth of the Dante Alighieri Society here over the past almost, 70 years, I'd say. 70 years or more.
And as you said in your introduction, you are one of those stalwarts who've helped Dante Alighieri Society in WA over the years in your role as secretary, and even now continuing to wave the flag in the way that you are. So that's great,
not the secretary anymore, because due to getting on with age, I wanted to, in a sense, relieve some of the pressure. So I am a member of the committee. I'm still there.
Okay. So you mentioned that back in the early days, some of the objects were around fostering language and the culture. So what activities does the Society in WA conduct currently?
Well, Dante Alighieri Society now conducts Italian language courses, and its main activity. Okay, also, as you know, we are not, probably people would like to find out that we are not-for-profit organization, and the only funding that we used to get a bit of funding from the Italian consulate, but not anymore. I think Italy, as you probably know, is not in a position that can fund anything at the moment. So we lost that funding, and so we rely on the fees that students pay in order for us to pay all the expenses like rent, electricity, and the equipment that we've got, maintenance of the photocopiers and other stuff. So we rely on students and student fees mainly. The contribution that the members have, there's only a small amount of money that comes in. So our main aim is to really teach Italian, and where the most of the funding comes from, in a sense, from the students. So this is our main activity. Teachers are of native Italian speaking. They're qualified to guide students with no knowledge of Italian to a good standard of written and spoken communication. We also offer cultural courses like Italian art, literature, cooking, as well as specialist courses in nutrition, traveling, nutrition. But the nutrition course, our president, he's a qualified nutritionist, and also he's also got a degree in he's a chemist, chemist, and also a nutritionist. So he runs courses as far as nutrition is concerned. He's a very, very, very well informed person. Then we've got guitar courses as well. You've got one of the members in our committee, Gabriele Campani. He's a guitar player, and he also has a course in guitar playing. The language instruction method used by the Dante Alighieri Society really emphasizes the functional use of the language. We focus on the effective language learning with a minor focus on the traditional grammar-based method. Another thing that we have is a feather in our cap, really. We obtained the Plida, which is spelled P-L-I-D-A. It's Progetto Lingua Italiana Dante Alighieri. It's the Italian language Dante Alighieri project, which is a certification from headquarters in Rome. Now, with this certificate, the law passed in Italy in 2018, and now is still in force, that with this certificate it is possible to apply for Italian citizenship for adults and children. It's similar to what we know as the IELTS here in Australia. If you want to become a citizen of Australia, an Australian citizen, you have to have this IELTS certification. Depending then, of course, if you want to go to university or if you want to be just in the workforce. And the same with the Plida. It's a certificate that will gives you access to Italian universities and also the workforce, and will give you, of course, access to the naturalization. Also, thanks to our affiliation with the headquarters in Rome, we now have had the opportunity to organize the ADA certificate, which is Attestato Dante Alighieri. It's a certificate that it's got its own standards, and the standards and also the content is the same is all over the world. So if you get a certificate, it's similar to what we have here, like certificate 2 or certificate 3 in certain areas. For instance, certificate 3 in motor mechanics or something. It will be the same standards whether you get it in WA or you get it in Victoria, or it's a national standard. And so the ADA certificate, it is a sort of in this case it would be international standard. So if you've done another certificate 1 or certificate 2, then you would have the same standard and the same objectives and the same content as if you would get it anywhere else in the world. Now, every student who attends the other Italian language course will have this certificate at the end of the course, which is recognized all over the world.
Thank you, Rino. That was a very interesting introduction to the life and of Dante and the Dante Alighieri Society. So I want to thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh, thank you very much, Tim, for giving us the opportunity actually to talk about our society. And hopefully we can have, a bit longer relationship, so we can talk a little bit more about our society and our courses a bit later on in your program.
Okay, so yes, once again, thank you, and please listen to our next episode in the life and the legacy of Dante, when I'll be talking to Italian teacher and Dante academic Margherita Cavani.